Hey, what's up, guys? I'm going to revisit this topic because it seems to be pretty prevalent in the steroid community scene, which is the grand old debate about Masteron and Primobolan, which is better. And I'm going to give my 2 cents. I have talked about this in the past. I've made, I think, videos about this in the past. But I think it's something important to talk about, which is like when it comes down to what your goals are and why to take one or the other, or maybe even both. So I'm going to lay it down as simply as I can, and as concise as I can, because I think this is something that a lot of guys need to weigh out the pros and cons in each one, and maybe some guys, they should be doing Primo, and some guys should be doing Masteron based on which goals they have in mind. Okay, so I'm going to do it as simply and to the point as possible. This might not even be a long video, which is if my recommendation for Primobolan is, if you're going to do it for a certain period of time, like 4 or 5 months, and you're using it potentially as an AI, and you have your blood work done so that you know what your blood serum, or like your estradiol concentration levels are in your blood, and that's why I would use it. You know, that's also if you're using it as a potential bulking agent, which it can be used for. But the thing is, though, you have to run higher doses, and higher doses is more expensive. And but it is a clean drug. It does the trick. I've run Primo before in the past with great results, really great results. So I am a Primobolan fan, but at the same time, I think I'm on Team Masteron, I'm not gonna lie, but I wanted to get Primobolan out of the way. And the great thing about Primobolan is when you run it, it's like you're not even on anything, almost. Like, it just doesn't feel like you're on something that's weighing you down. So that's why you can run it for longer periods of time. It really doesn't affect blood work negatively in the same sense as other compounds do. It is a great kind of DHT derivative to run alongside a test base, and I think for a lot of guys, Primobolan does the trick. And I know it's a favorite for now a lot of bodybuilders for that reason, but they run very large amounts of it, though. Okay. So that's the benefit. Now the negative is it costs a lot, and it can crush estrogen for some people. So that's something to take note of. So you have to do blood work on that. And it is a very slow burner. So it takes, like, I didn't see the results until like 2.5 months of taking it, which for me is like almost too long. Like, I'd rather, when I take something, I'd rather have it more effective, like more predominant when I start taking it. But that being said, yeah, you can make some serious gains on a test Primo stack by itself. Keep it simple. You can keep it simple with a test Primo stack. Make serious gains on that. A lot of guys do. A lot of guys who are mass monsters, that's what they do. It's a pretty versatile compound. I think it's one that you could take because it doesn't bloat you out so much. It does fill you out a little bit, especially when you push doses, but it doesn't bloat you out with that subcutaneous like water weight, whatever. So like other compounds can. So it's not totally dry. So it's one that like works well. And when it does start, like I said before, it's a slow burner. But when it starts taking effect, it's like you're looking. I remember when I was taking it, and I really started noticing the effect. I like looked at myself in the mirror in the morning. I'm like, holy shit! Like, okay, now I see it. I see the results of it. You know what I mean? So it's a good one. It's a great one. Now Masteron is obviously one that's used kind of interchangeably with Primobolan, but it has in the bodybuilding community kind of a different purpose. But that's for the bodybuilding community, but it's not necessarily something that's applicable to everybody, which is kind of like a more contest stack to dry you out a bit more, and to like not like eliminate the water weight, because when you run it, it's a bit of more of a drier compound, you call it. So it's very well known for that. But the thing is, though, with Masteron is it lowers SHBG, sex hormone binding globulin, which frees up more like testosterone or more androgens in the body. So when you're running alongside testosterone, especially, like it just makes that testosterone way more effective, if that makes sense. Which is good. Maybe Primobolan does the same, but I know Masteron does this particularly very well. The great thing about Masteron too is, like I said before about Primobolan, it's like you don't even know you're on something. When you start taking Masteron, specifically Masteron propionate, which I like to do every other day, within a week you know you're on something. It's like, here it is. It's not just at the doorstep, it's in your door. You know what I mean? You invite it in for coffee, it's there in your living room, already there when you're doing it, okay? And as far as Primobolan, it's like, you know, a few months down the road type of thing. So it's kind of nice in that regard. I've never done an anthate, but I know for propionate, it's really great in that regard. Now, Masteron, it's known for being a drying agent, but there's no reason why it still can't add anabolic qualities to the stack, like we're doing, amongst other things, right? It still has anabolic qualities as well, and you can run larger amounts of it without negative side effects. So it's, you know, you'll get stronger by running more. The more Masteron you add to your stack, the more stronger you get, 100%. And it's very low on the negative androgenic side effects. So like whenever I run it, Masteron at like 1-to-1 ratio with testosterone, my blood work pretty much looks the same if I'm just running testosterone, to be honest. Like very little minuscule difference. Okay. So I think it's a great, I think that's why I prefer Masteron being a safer compound. Now some people think that when you run Masteron you may be a bit more of a flatter look. Like I do think that Primobolan does fill you out a little bit more, like muscle wise, than Masteron, but then that's why particularly I added a little bit of NPP just to counteract that. Like you don't even need that much. Like if you run like 200 mgs of NPP every week on top of it, it's like it surpasses what the Primobolan would have done. You know what I mean? And so that's why. That's a whole nother. I made videos about this. So I talk about that a lot in a lot of my videos. But so that's going to be the major kind of like thesis or like conclusion of Masteron Primobolan debate. But it's not like there's one's better than the other. Okay. Like I run totally Primobolan. Sometimes if I really wanted to put on a lot of mass really quick, I'd probably run Primobolan more than Masteron, to be honest. But why not do both? Why not both? And that's what I'm going to kind of conclude with, which is I think you can run both very successfully, and a lot of people do. So if you ran a cycle that maybe 300-400 test, 300 to 400 Masteron, and anywhere from 200 to 500 Primobolan, depending on how far you want to take the Primo stack. Like you could just add the 200 Primobolan on top of it, and that would be fine too. There'd be a cumulative anabolic effect over time. But the thing about Primobolan is you definitely have to do it for a cycle that's going to be like, I'd say ideally 4 months. Ideally 4 month cycle. Okay. So, because it takes that long to really take effect and to start seeing the results. Okay. Yeah, Primobolan's expensive. Everybody knows that. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is both are kind of scarce these days. Like, we're not in the golden era of 2 years ago where like everything was so prevalent. Like now, China is shutting shit down, or I don't know what the fuck's going on over there, but you know, a lot of UGL's scarcity with the Primobolan and the Masteron for whatever reason. I made videos about this in the past. I don't know why. Maybe because the same precursors that's used for fentanyl are used to synthesize this. I have no idea. Like I just speculated on that. I've heard things about that, but China's really cracked down on the production of these things. So maybe the market's kind of corrected itself, but at the same time, it's one of those things where you have to be now more cautious. So in doing so, being cautious, make sure you test your shit. Okay. I ordered Masteron 2 months ago and it never even showed up. So, and that would have never happened in the past. So, yeah, that's the time that we're in right now, I guess. And it is what it is. So, I think I'll leave it there. But as far as, okay, now my final conclusion, Masteron, Primobolan, both are great. You can definitely choose either one and have great results, but I'm leaning towards more the Masteron with maybe a touch of MPP if you want to fill out, be a little bit stronger side of things. Okay, so that's my conclusion. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.